Okay, welcome class to lesson 6, and hope you've all had a good week, and let's dive right into it. As you can recall, last time we learned about pretty much the graphical side of Scratch, and in particular we learned about how you can use costumes to create animations. You can recall the stickman animations we did, so by having various costumes of the stickman in different positions, and by changing those every couple of fractions of a second as he moved across the screen, it would look like he was actually walking. We also looked at responding to user reactions, the smiley face demonstration. If you remember there, you could click on his face, and as you clicked on it he would change randomly to one of the other three or four costumes that were there. And then if you happen to have changed randomly to face, I think number 4, and you clicked on that one, then he would bounce around the screen. So just showing how you can interact with your users, or your users can interact with your application. Then we went on to looking at the think and speak commands or functions, and we used those to create conversations between our characters. There was great love between the two characters as each one tried to pretend he was the cutest. We then went on to look at using some graphics effects and the size command in particular, and we used that in the cat sneezing demonstration, where he grew as he went ah and shrunk as he went chew. You recall also, coming back to that one, remember that the speech bubble was a bit flashy or flickered as he grew bigger, but was not so when he went down. And remember how we changed the code there slightly so that we could stop the flickering from happening. Finally, we asked you to do exercises 1, 3 and 4, which I hope you had a look at. Doing these exercises is quite important as it just extends and reinforces what we learned. And please remember to go and look at lesson number 5 on our website for an update of last week's work. Okay, jumping into this week. Goals today are to explore the sound palette, what we can do with it, what the sound functions are, how we can use it to create songs and rhythms, drum beats and that type of thing. And finally, we're going to try and put together a dance demonstration using sound effects and touching a bit on the paint editor. So looking at the agenda quickly, we're going to go and look at playing audio files, how you load a file and play it, how we can use the drum and the timings in the drum command to set a beat. We look at composing a couple of songs using the musical instrument commands. We'll look at how you can control the volume and use it to create a 3-dimensional depth effect to your sound. Also how we can set the tempo in this music, and finally, once again, creating a dance demo, putting everything that we've learned together. Okay, playing an audio file. We recall you can load up audio files under the sound tab of your sprite or your background. Just please remember that when you do so, if you bring in your own sound files, Scratch can only support or play a WAV and MP3 files. Those are the ones with the WAV and MP3 file extension. Unfortunately, it can't play things like M4A or FRAG, I think it's FRAG or FRAC, and other various sound compressions, but fortunately WAV and MP3 are amongst the most popular file formats available. Then looking at the play sound command, so once you've loaded up your file, you'll see it'll appear as an option in your drop down list under the play sound command. And there's two options there. You can either say play sound until done, or play sound and then put a wait command. If you use the play sound until done, the software or the program will stop there and wait until your sound sample is done. If you want the music to play or continue playing, then you use the one without the until done, and it will continue running your code. However, if you just having a loop as we have in the example here, and you don't put the wait command in, it's going to sound a bit different to what you're expecting. The other useful thing about using the second option, where you don't specify until done and you put it in a wait command, is sometimes you might have a piece of music which is, let's say, 10 seconds long, and in the last second, which is pretty repetitive, and in the last second it fades out. And if you want to keep playing it forever, you don't want it to fade out and come back every 10 seconds, so you would probably cut it to about 9 seconds and keep the volume the same level. Okay, if you want to go ahead and do that right now, you can do so and play around with those commands. Okay, moving right along, looking at drums. Okay, now what we have here is basically when you say play drum, the first option there in the drop down list is basically which drum. And obviously there are many drums. You get the kick drum, the snare, the bass, the hi-hats. And so you can use that option to choose the particular drum that you want to use. The second option is for beat, so 0.8 beats. So if you look at our example at the top there, and if we had to break time down into 1.6 beats, you'll see that the first example, the drum will hit every 0.8 beats. And basically set your beats, we'll show you a bit later in one of the demos, you set your beats by specifying the tempo. But if you set it 0.8 beats, it will be struck every 0.8 of a tempo time. So your tempo is 60, which means 60 beats per minute or 1 beat per second. Then every 0.8 seconds your drum or your drum will strike. If you then go on and you want a bit of a faster timing but within the same time, you can increase your repeat to 4 and halve your time, and that'll allow you to play 2 beats for every 0.8 seconds, and that'll basically give you a bit of a faster timing. And then finally in the last one, if you want to go for quite a rapid beat, you can change it to repeat 8, play the drum for 0.2 seconds, and that will allow you to basically hit the drum every 0.2 seconds for one of those very active drum rhythms. If you want to look at this demo and play with a bit, just open up the Beats demo found under sessions 5 and 6 on your flash drive, and you can play with that for a bit. Okay, playing musical notes. How many people here do music? Okay, I'm glad to see a couple of you, so some of it will be familiar to you. For those who are not, I'll talk you through it quickly. Basically, Scratch has 120 notes, stretching from 0 to 120. It might go up to 128, not to worry about that. All you have to know is that in the middle is the number 60, and that is allocated to the middle C note. So middle C, if you look on a piano, is the C note, and you can see in the diagram, which is situated pretty much in the middle of the piano's keyboard. So in other words, you can roughly play a full-size piano's worth of notes. So if you think about it, there are 8 notes in an octave. However, you'll see I've written 12 there, because what we're looking at here is we're looking at including the sharps or the flats or the black keys, for those who are not familiar with the piano. So we have to count from the middle C to the next C to the right of that, and you include the black keys, you'll see there are 12 notes. And that corresponds then to the same count as Scratch uses. So if you go 1 C up, you'll see the number will become 72 to play that C. And if you wanted to go down an octave all the way down to the lower C, you will go down by 12 and it'll be 48. And so you can see how I've mapped the numbers to the notes in the musical score there. I've obviously skipped the black keys in this case. Would have been a bit full with putting a little sharp or flat symbols in. So if you're playing the straight notes, you can see it goes 40, 48, 49 would have been the C sharp or D flat black key, then 50, 51, once again the black key, 52, and so forth, going up the notes to middle C at 60, and then all the way back up to the upper C at 72. And as you go up the musical score on the treble clef, or you go down further on the bass clef, which is the bottom one, you can see continue using the number pattern, counting in 12s as you go down. Okay, let's see how we can use this now in actually putting a song together. Here we have a very, very familiar song known as Happy Birthday. In the case of Happy Birthday, I put the musical score on the top right there, and if you look, I have written the note which corresponds to each of the notes on the musical score, so the C, C, D, C, F, and E. And below that I have put the note that Scratch would know or map to apply to that. Okay. However, for those of you who are not too familiar with musical notation, the solid black circle with a line, the open circle with a line, which you can see in the first E note there, all mean what the timing is. So a quick musical lesson, the black dot with a straight up line means a count of 1 note per beat. So once again, coming back to our examples previously, if we're playing 60 beats per minute, it basically means 1 beat per second. Then the solid black dot with a line up means that must hold for 1 second. Okay. Now the first two notes are a little bit different. So the first two C notes, you'll see it's a black dot with a line up and then a black line going across, kind of a tail, and he joins the next note. And he's even more interesting, he's a little black line, or 2 black lines. Basically what that means is, if you have a little line and you have 1 black line along the top, it means a half beat. And if you have 2 black lines, it means a quarter beat. However, just to add a little extra here, there's a little dot next to the first C. If you look carefully, just next to the bottom of the C is a little black dot. He means add an extra half value of the note's current value. So that note's current value is a half. We add a half of a half, which is a quarter, and that gives us 3/4. And there you can see 3/4 can be written in decimal in 0.75, 0.75. The first two notes are 0.75 of a beat. The next one is a quarter of a beat, or 0.25, and then we have 1 beat, 1 beat, 1 beat. The circle, the hollow circle, the open circled line means 2 beats, and so forth. That's as complicated as it gets. Until the very last note, we'll see it's a circle with a line, open circle line, and a dot. And as I said, that dot means add an extra half count of the value of the preceding note. So if our note's value is 2, and we add a half of its value back again, that half 2 is 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's basically how you do it. A bit of a quick lesson in music. Now I've actually gone off and set it. So I set instrument to 1, which correlates to a piano. I set the tempo to 120 beats per minute. You can set it to 60 and it sounds very slow. So going to 120 beats per second, we can then play the notes and we'll see. And let's see how that looks when we play it. I got a bit lazy. Okay, so here is how you do it, string it all along. You see an example there, I had to put the next note to fit in the space, but how it should look is all that. So let's see how that works. Okay, wonderful. One other thing, sorry, quickly for those who are musically inclined, you'll see over here I put B flat, even though there's no B flat symbol there. I picked up that the musical score was slightly incorrect and it should have been flats, otherwise it didn't sound right. So that's just a little thing that I did there, so please don't mock me or knock me saying I've got the wrong notes in there. They just forgot to put the flat symbols in there. Okay, let's move it along. You can try this out yourself if you wish. Okay, here's another example. Okay, as you can see from the previous example, it's quite a long way to write it out for every note. However, you can look at repeating sections of notes. So the more familiar, or not so familiar, song Frère Jacques has the same patterns repeated. So here you can actually, if you can find those patterns, you can place the notes and then put repeat blocks around them to shorten the actual code, rather than writing every note out. Look for patterns and try and use repeat blocks to shorten your code. You can find this particular example under Frère Jacques, once again under session 5 and 6 folder of your flash drive. Okay, now we're going to try setting the sound stage for using the sound volume level to see how we can give an effect. Now what we can do here is we want to look for a background, as I have an example on the left hand side, which kind of moves off into the distance. So as the railway lines there move off into the distance. And we're going to use a sprite like our fleeing cat, and he is going to slowly disappear off into the distance as well as his meowing will get quieter. Okay, so if you want to go and look for a background image that looks, you can use the one we have here. It's part of the images under Scratch. Otherwise you can use any of the other ones which are similar to this to do this particular example. And go find your fleeing cat or any other of the sprites, but you'd have to change the sound from meow to something more appropriate if you want to do that. Okay, looking at the code, here are the two code blocks we're going to be using. The one on the left, as you can see, controls the sound. So we're going to set the volume to 100% or the full sound of the audio file. We're going to then have a repeat 10, and cat's going to meow 10 times as it disappears in the distance. And with each time we're going to drop the volume by 10, or effectively 10%. So obviously 10 and 10 is 100. So it's going to basically be silent by the time she or he, depending on what your animal's gender is, disappears off into the distance. On the right hand side we're going to be using the graphics effects that we learned about last week. So we're going to position the cat in the middle of the railway lines, at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of the stage, so closer to you. Set the size to about 80% or anything appropriate so the cat doesn't look like a monster on the railway line. And then repeating 100. Now here we're repeating 100 and not 10 because you'll see we're waiting for a very short period of time. That wait 0.7 seconds. 0.07 seconds, sorry. So the meow sound obviously takes at least about 7 seconds. If you go and look, you can see the actual length of the sound sample. And here we're basically moving the cat a little bit quicker to make it look like it's moving away smoothly rather than jumpy every 7 seconds or so as the sound goes along. See how we are changing Y by 2, so it slowly moves up the stage towards the top of the distant tracks, and we're changing our size by 0.7, negative 0.7, so it gets smaller. So basically if you take the 100 times it by 0.7, you'll see that works out to be 70, so it'll be 10% of its original size by the time it disappears. Now I've thrown in a bit of a spanner here. These values of go to x3 y minus 180 and the change y by 2 and change size by 0.7 are not correct for this picture. If you use these values as it is, you'll find the cat will end up walking off the left side of the tracks at a certain point and climbing up the mountain, which is wrong. So what I want you to do once you've got this code down is to tweak the values of go to x3 y 180 to position the cat in the middle of the railway track at the bottom, and then change your value of change y by 2 to a smaller or bigger value depending on what you think, depending on your picture, and change the size by minus 0.7 to an appropriate one so that it lands up basically ending at the distant point in your picture, or the distant point in the tracks, for example, in mine. So go ahead, play with this code, or go do this code, and then when you finish, just tweak those values to make sure it is disappearing in an appropriate way. Okay, now you've had time to do that one. Let us look at putting everything we've learned together. Let's set up the party. We're basically going to do a party sequence here. I will be walking through this as a live demo, some of the sections, to show you how to do it. But as you can see, we're going to start from an empty project. So yes, you can load up the demo and we'll give you the name of the demo file at the end, or you can go find it yourself if you're of interest. But we want to try and do this without just loading the code up and looking at it. So we're going to work through each of these things to see how you achieve them, so when you want to do your own type of thing, you can see how you can get around doing it. Now one of the catches is that you cannot change, or if you change the color, basically if you use a change color command, you'll remember it changes all the colors within the object you're trying to change. So if we just went and tried to change the color of our background, you'll find it won't work, or it'll change everything. We don't want to do that. So in this particular example, we want to use the ball, the light ball, and just the colors of the lights on the ball must change. And on the board, so the backboard, that silver board, we want to change the colors of those streaks. So you'll see on little spotlights on the top, and they're shining down, they're producing green, blue, red, pink, and dark blue, or indigo, for those who want to know indigo. We want to change those colors, but only the colors on that screen, not everything. and we then want to put the spotlight, and the spotlight must keep our dancer in the spotlight or in focus. So you'll see how we can get our spotlight to track our dancing sprite, and finally we're going to have our sprite do a little bit of a dance, a bit of a simple dance. So we're going to work through this example to show you how you can build this example up using the tools available to you within Sprite. Okay, first of all, finding the sprites. Now we need to go and grab these sprites. Okay, so we want to basically take a snapshot or take a picture of the background as it exists, bring it into the paint editor, and then using that image we will cut out the sections we want to keep, tweak them a bit, and save them as a new sprite. So okay, so we're going to be starting off with getting this background loaded into our clean project. Well, let's start that now quickly. I'll demonstrate that quickly to you. Let's go find him quickly. Okay, we're going to go click on stage, go to backdrops, click on that icon there to bring in the backdrop, and under indoor there's our party room. Click on OK. There we have him. Okay, so now we have him set on. I'll go back to our code. Now we want to just set the sound for the backstage. So let's just load up this song. So we're going to say, when flag clicked, forever play sound medieval 1, wait 9.5 seconds. Let's go and do that. So make sure you're on your background stage. Make sure you're on the background. Click on scripts. Okay, so you're going to go events. When I click that, then it's control forever. Now we need to play a sound, so we're going to go sound, play sound until done. We'll load up our sound now. Okay, let's just make sure we've got the right code. I'm sorry. Okay, we need to play sound. Then we need to control wait. Now this is an example of, as I mentioned earlier, this song actually fades out. So yeah, rather than fading it out, we're going to use this one, and the time we used is 9.5 seconds. You'll see now when we load it up, that's pretty close to how long it is without the little fade section. So let's go to our sounds, click on here to find it, alphabetical, looking for M for medieval, there he is. You can double click if you want to do it quickly to open it up. We can click on pop, and you can just remove him if you don't want to keep him around. Now if we go back to our scripts, we can change to medieval 1, and there we have that one. If we listen to it, okay, that is the song we're going to be using. Now let's see what our next step is. Okay, if you want to grab that quickly. Okay, if we had to look once again at the sound, you can see over there, gives you an idea of how long it is. And if we look at our actual track, you can see he faded out at the end, which we don't want. So that's why we cut it slightly short to 9.5 seconds rather. Okay, let's see what is next. Learning to dance. Let's do our dancing script. Okay, let's go find our dance now. No, I know my dance is dance. So what we're going to do, let's create a new sprite. We're going to click on that one there. You can click on people, and I know our guy is Dan. Okay, double click if you want to do it quickly. What we can do is we can go old cat sprite there, click on him, then right click and delete, and now we have cat gone. Okay, just put him roughly there, the code will fix him. Now let's go to our script. And if we look at our script, let's copy that down. So when flag clicked, go to X and then clear graphics. Okay, so events, when flag fixed, then we want to go to XY, and we had a looks clear graphics effects. There it is over there. Okay, now if you recall, the values was 0 and -60. Okay. Next thing we have to do is put in a forever loop, and then basically we're going to get him to dance in one direction and dance back again. So what we need here is we need to put together a repeat block. Okay, so just repeat 20. Then we want him to move one step to the right, so make that move 1, and just make him look like he's moving a little bit. We're going to use the fisheye, so we go use our change color effect. We're going to change our effect to fisheye, and then we're going to go to 1. So that'll give a very slight twist to his middle part of his body, looking like he's moving his hip a bit. Then we're going to say move to your next costume to change his position totally and get him to return to original position. To now cheat a bit, we're going to go right click and duplicate to put our code there. We're going to say move -1, -1, and we're going to change our fisheye effect to -1, and this will bring him back to his starting look and position. So we can put this all inside there, and now if we play it, it's got a bit of a rhythm going there. Well done. Okay, excellent. And now we have our dance and we have our music. Now we want to make it like it's a real dance party environment. Now we're going to start playing with our lighting effects. Okay. And here's how we're going to go and create our 3 sprites from our existing background. So we're going to need a ball sprite, a board sprite, those we can grab from the background, and the spotlight we will do from basically just using the paint tools within the paint editor. Okay. So what you want to start off is now we need to grab the background. So if we go and click on the background on the stage and we go look at the backdrop, and you right click on the thumbnail, you'll see there's an option to save to local file. So go ahead and do that and save it to your desktop or your thumb drive or wherever you are, or session 6. So we'll save it, call it party room, save that. I did this bit earlier, so just say replace yes. Then what you want to do is now we want to go and use the paint editor. So what we'll do, you do see that little paintbrush there, that's the option you choose, which paint new sprite. So you don't want to add this as a sprite to our dancer Dan. Sorry, I forgot to do one thing. We're going to have to do this just on your dancer Dan. Just click on that, click on that little information button and change his name from Dan to dancer just by adding a CER at the end. Okay, I forgot to do that bit earlier. Okay, so now let's go and click on our paintbrush, which creates a sprite. We're going to call this sprite ball. Okay, ball, and we're going to use this tool here. So you go to the option of the import button there. We go look for our party room picture, and we open him up, and there he is. So now we're just interested in the ball. Okay, so make sure you've selected the select square thing. Okay, just click on your. You'll see it by default, the whole thing is selected. Let's just push escape to get rid of it. And then get your crosshairs roughly the top left square. We want to cut a square out. So get it roughly to there. Click there. And that's a bit of a problem that we had earlier today. As you can see, that square. Oops. If it doesn't want to work, just go script costume. Try it again. Okay, so you want to do something that try not to have too much space, because I'll show you now why. Otherwise you have more rubbing out to do. Okay, and oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so you put your crosshairs kind of in line with the ball's top and left part. Click there and try and make it very close to the ball. Doesn't have to be exactly, but just less work with less square. Then we go and click on this tool here, that's known as the cropping tool. If you click on him, everything else will disappear. Then we must click on putting our sprite back in the middle. So you click that button, click the sprite, and now he's in the middle. Now let's magnify. So the bottom right hand side here, you can magnify, and then by using the eraser tool, we're going to remove the parts we don't want. So we don't really want too much of this. Now you don't have to get too close. You don't have to get too close. We just want to get rid of most of the background so that he doesn't change any of the colors of the background around him. Okay, so we're going to do that and that. Okay. Now if you want to get precise, I'll show you get precise. What you can do is you can zoom in a bit more, and then using your pen, your brush is a bit finer, and you click on the color here with the line through it, which is the invisible color. So if you click on him, you can now see a little cursor a lot smaller, and you can do a lot finer work with that. Okay, if you make a mistake like that, just click the back button and you'll undo the last bit of paint you did. So I suggest you work in small strokes. So click a little bit, then release the button and click like that. So if you do make a mistake, you don't have to undo too much work. Okay, and we can continue like this, rubbing out effectively most of the ball background that we don't want. Okay, and so forth. This part here. There we go. Okay, so now we have our sprites, so we can zoom out again. Okay, we can just clean up that little bit there at the top. And there we have just the ball sprite. Okay, so now we have our ball sprite. And we will leave him like that. Now you'll see he's appeared on our screen. So what you want to do is now click on him and basically go and position him over the original ball so that you can't see the original ball anymore. So now we have our sprite located over the background ball, covering him up. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with our background screen. So go and click once again on the brush there. We're going to import our picture again, party room. Just zoom out if you haven't done so, and we're going to name this sprite board, B-O-A-R-D. Okay. And once again we've already selected him. Okay, so let's just push escape button to undo the default selection. Starting off in this corner. Starting off in this corner because it's easy to catch the corner. You're going to grab as little as possible of the surroundings. Don't drop the bottom off there. Okay, using our crop tool. And then we're going to bring him just to the center so easy to work with. Once again, zoom in a bit too much. Zoom in and using our erasing tool, get rid of most of the unwanted stuff, keeping our spotlights. We don't want to rub out the spotlights because they're going to change a little bit later to match. Okay, so I just paused the recording there for a short bit so you don't have to get too bored watching me do the editing. As you can see there, I've basically just cleaned out the outside of the image, and now we're ready to place it. So once you've done your cleaning up around the sides, come along to your main stage and just drag your sprite, lining it up wherever the previous slide. Okay, at the same time now, so as you see, we have clear white strips here, and what we're going to do is match the colors to the spotlights. So we're going to use a couple of tools here. So we'll start off by, so we're green, we're going to go choose a bit of a faint green down there, and using the fill, we're going to fill in the white there. Now obviously you can see there's a little bit of patchiness. So what we're going to do here is using our line command, just set your width to not too wide. You can then just go and quickly fill in the edges there to give it a sharp edge, and then for that section up there we can just zoom in a bit, just using our paintbrush. Okay, it's a bit of a white paintbrush. We can just go and fill in the gaps. There you go. Okay, let's do the same with our blue. Just zoom out a bit so we can see what we're doing. Okay, in this case, I'm just going to use the line command because it's just a bit easier. Okay, just make our line a bit thicker. You can see the thickness of the line down there that we're going to be using. This is a light blue, so we're going to look at the light blue, pick that faint color there, and give it a bit of a triangle shape. Then we need the purple. It's more of a violet color, I think it is. Okay, pick violet. He doesn't have one, so let's just make this quite narrow. We can just create one for him. Triangle like that, triangle like that, and just fill in with and go across the top, fill in his lines. Okay, then we've got the dark blue, the blue, got a long blue, so click like that. Put them in, and then yellow, you can pretty much do what you want. So you can have a bit of a short yellow, like that, and then finally the red. Oh, what happened there? I wasn't paying attention. And then finally with red, we can go right to the edge of the screen like that if we want, and just fill them in like that. Okay, so now if you go look back at our screen here, you can see our colors have come through and everything is great and wonderful. Okay, so now we have our sprites. Let's bring him back to normal size. So we should now be left with dancer, ball and board. If you recall, the final thing was we wanted to have our spotlight focusing on our dancer. So you're going to create one from nothing. So once again, click on the paint new sprite. We're going to name him okay, click on okay, so finally we're going to want our new sprite, our spotlight, which will focus on our dancer. If you recall, that was our final sprite to work on. So click on the paintbrush to create one from nothing. Let's name him Spotlight, like that. Okay, so we're going to start off in our paint editor. Let's zoom in by 1. just move the horizontal bar across. And I'm going to start off with picking the ellipse, picking a greyish colour, a fairly light grey colour. Should be fine. Going across with your mouse to the edge there, about 3 blocks in or so, and count about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 or so. Click on that block. Bring your ellipse down and then count about 13 blocks down again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. And give yourself a little bit of a round shape. Make it a little bit more round like that. There we go. Using your line tool, clicking on the top there. Bring him down to your center of your sprite point. That. Similarly from the bottom, do that. Then using our fill tool, just go and fill that in from the circle, and then just using your line tool and widen it a bit. Just go and get rid of the white sections that are still sticking out, and that's good enough. There you go. Do that, and oh, bit of a mess there, so we just use our razor. Don't know how you got there. Get rid of our razor, and there we have our spotlight, and there it is. So we now click on our spotlight, bring him up to there, and then use the rotate tool, let him kind of shine on Dan the Dancer. Okay, there we have all the members, all our sprites. And now let's go and look at the code we're going to put behind each one. So let's go look at the ball. So if we look at our ball script, what we're going to do over here is write this code. Basically what we do is when we click the flag, clear the graph effects, and forever change the color effect by 1. Let's go do that quickly. Events, click the flag, we're going to go looks, clear graphic effects, then forever we're going to go and change our color by 1. Okay. It's bigger so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, once you got that down, go onto your board. We're going to pretty much do the same thing here, except we're going to use the layer command. If you remember last time, the layers allows you to move it background. So we're going to tell the board to be basically at the furthest background level. So we can cheat a bit. Let's use some of our cheat techniques. We're going to go look at this code. We're going to drag him and drop him onto our mirror, onto our board. So if you remember, that gives you a copy of the code. And now all we remember we need to do is go and set that layer command. So let's go to background layer 2, and then once again the rest remains the same. And finally our spotlight. Okay, so this one's a little bit more complicated because, as remember, we wanted to track our dancer, but we're going to use the ghost effect. If you remember, the ghost effect makes him a little bit translucent or semi-transparent, so it looks like he's affecting the dancer but not covering the dancer up. So if you go and look at that, let's go and work through the code here. Make sure you check your spotlight sprite. And we're going to start with the event when clicked. We can now go to, oopsie, sorry, then look to looks, Okay, graphic effects, just because I like to. Then we're going to use the set color effect. We change our color to ghost. We set that ghost value to 30. We're going to also then tell him to go back one layer. Okay, let's go back one layer. We're going to then move him so that his focal point there is in the position we want him to be in. So you say, okay, go to -182. I wasn't too far off. 127. Sure, that's pretty accurate, dropping him there. And then once again in the forever loop, we can now make him track the dancer. So track the dancer, we're going to use the motion command, point towards. So let's go find the point towards. I'm going to say point towards dancer. Then we're going to wait a little bit of time. So we need a bit of a wait time in here. We're going to make the wait 0.1. And then we're going to get him to also change his color effect a bit. So we're going to say look, change color effect by 10. Okay, so that's that code block finished. We've now done all our code blocks. To review quickly, our background stage has our music playing for 9.5 seconds before repeating. Our dancer is basically moving if in a direction with a bit of a fisheye to give him a bit of a hip motion, and then reversing back to his starting position. Our ball is just changing the color effect. By 1, our board is the same thing, except we're just putting him back to the background. And our spotlight is a little bit ghosty. Okay, now let's see how these all play together. However, I did make one slight mistake in my code. I discovered the board should be go back one layer, not 2 layers. Just make that change quickly on the board, and then let's see how it goes. And there we have our dancer. Okay. I'm just going to mute the sound. Okay, so if you can see now, so as you can see, killed the sound a bit here. Spotlight is tracking, and the lights, colored lights, are slowly changing colors. In the background, as you can see, now orange, pinks, and violets. Okay, it's a bit slow on my laptop. It should be a bit better on yours, and the recording software is interfering a bit here, so it's slowing it down. As you can see, each of these guys are slowly changing their colors. Okay, stop that. Okay, so that's what we landed up with. Okay, homework, people. Please do problems 2 and 7 from sessions 5 and 6. See your flash drive to that, puts everything together. Once again, check out lesson 5 from last week, and lesson 6 should be available from the end of the weekend or early next week. Next lesson, this is when things start to get really interesting, and we have to pay attention. We can start looking at how you write procedures. Procedures are basically ways of breaking your code down into what we would call functions, but blocks of code, and that block of code can be called multiple times from other blocks of code in loops or whatever fashion to shorten your amount of code you have to write. We look at how you use broadcasting and receiving of messages between procedures and sprites, that type of thing, and basically how we're going to go about creating our code blocks. And then for those who are interested, during the winter school we're going to be holding a bit of a winter academy. It's just a one-day thing, so it's on one of those 3 days, whichever one works out to be most popular amongst those who want to come. It'll be at the Brain Boosters training facilities at Eureka Park. So it's a division of Eureka, the hardware company. What we'll be doing is we'll be doing some homework exercises, going over some of the exercises if you want to, and then maybe looking at some fun projects that we didn't have a chance to look at in class. And we'll be doing a bit of a tour of the factory, and you can see how things are manufactured, packaged, how we pick stock for shops. It's just a bit of an interesting tour for those who are keen. It'll be a nominal cost of about 50 Rand per child, just to cover food and refreshments during the day. And please bring your laptop if you have one. We can cater for a couple, but it'll be easier if people bring their laptops, and we can cater for more. And thank you very much.